Hello and welcome to my Tuesday training call. I'm Ted Keys, your host and top freight sales training expert. Today's training topic is how doing nothing creates freight sales. How doing nothing creates freight sales. My hope today, is that you didn't join the call thinking that there's a way to build your business by doing nothing. Again, that's my hope. But boy, if you think that you got on the call today feeling that Ted's going to show me how to build a business and not have to do anything, boy, I am there. Because as you'll see, doing nothing does not create freight sales. Let me say that again. Doing nothing will not build your business. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Let me explain. Okay? There's four main categories of actions. Four main categories of action in freight sales. Four main categories of action in freight sales. The first category of action we're going to talk about today, and that is doing nothing. Doing nothing. If you see that on your notes there today, if there's one thing you'll see to the right of doing nothing, you'll see the word failure. You'll see the word failure. And basically doing nothing, it's a clear lack of focus to be productive in any way. It's a clear lack of focus. Doing nothing means that you lack focus in being productive in any way. But that's the first category of actions in freight sales. The second is retreating or moving backward, retreating backward. And you'll see again too, if you attempt that in your freight sales business, that will lead to failure as well. The third type of action, guys, is just taking normal action. You cover as many loads as you attempt to. You've got nothing that you're shooting for. You're basically just paying enough. You're basically just covering enough loads, getting enough loads in motion, getting them delivered just to pay the bills. Well, that's taking normal levels of action. So if you're just paying bills, all right, and you're wondering, boy, this is a challenging business because I'm not making any money. It's because you're only taking the normal level of action to get there. Don't think by covering one or two loads a day that's going to bring you into the upper stratosphere of income in freight sales. That's just taking doing normal levels of action. The fourth category of freight sales is taking massive action, and that's where my secret formula comes in. When you take massive action, then you're moving loads, then you're making a tremendous amount of money. But again, that first category that I mentioned earlier, doing nothing. Can doing nothing create freight sales? Well, let's talk about it. Let me ask you this question here. The question is, how does doing nothing sound to you, okay? In your mindset, how does doing nothing sound to you as a new way to move more freight loads? Okay, really, how does that sound to you? Are you intrigued by that? Is that something you want to delve further into? Boy, can I move more freight just by doing nothing? Does it have a good ring to it? Does that sound positive to you? Like, hey, I can move loads by doing nothing. Does it have a negative ring to it where you're reading through my BS knowing, hey, there's nothing, there's no way that I can become successful as a freight agent by doing nothing. Well, that's a good thing. Not sure about what type of ring it is? Well, unfortunately, you're on the fence and you're not attempting anything. However, doing nothing in the bottom line is doing nothing is exactly what it is. I mean, there's no way around it. Doing nothing, all right, is when a freight agent like yourself on the call today, a freight agent no longer exerts any type of action to move themselves forward, to learn, achieve, control, and grow their freight sales business. Let me say that again, okay? The definition of doing nothing in our profession is when a freight agent no longer exerts any type of action to move themselves forward, to learn, achieve, control, and grow their freight sales business. Now, why did I just give you the definition of doing nothing as a freight sales agent? I'm telling you because of this. Unfortunately, too many freight sales agents that get into the profession, they're super excited when they get in here. Okay? They're super excited, especially if they have no experience in the freight industry at all. All right? But however, if you have an inkling, you've driven a truck, you've worked in a warehouse, you have an inkling of how freight moves, you're still super excited because you're entering an industry where the money is made. You're entering that level where most individuals make these individuals, freight sales agents, make the most amount of money in this profession. So you're excited. You think that you're you're going to be part of that upper echelon of money earners in the profession. Unfortunately, 90% of you you're not going to fail. You're just going to stop and do nothing. All right. You're going to say to yourself after a while, boy, this is tough work. I actually have to call guys and build relationships with them. This takes time. Is there an easier way? Well, some of you may think, yeah, there's an easier way by going to another brokerage. It's going to be different over there, or going to a different trainer. This trainer stinks because I'm not getting the results. Let me go to, over here where the grass is greener. Unfortunately, 80 to 90% of you, because you're lazy, because you just don't get it and you're not willing to learn, 80 to 90% of you will drop out. That's why I'm giving you the definition of doing nothing in freight sales, because that's exactly where it'll lead you to. Doing nothing leads to getting nothing. Let me say that again. Doing nothing leads to getting nothing. Freight agents who do nothing have clearly given up on their dreams and are now willing to accept pretty much whatever comes their way. Let me say that again, guys. Freight agents who do nothing have clearly given up on their dreams and are now willing to accept pretty much whatever comes their way. And despite how it sounds, don't assume that, here's the kicker of it all. Don't assume that doing nothing requires no energy, effort, and work, okay? Just because you're doing nothing doesn't mean that you're not expending energy. You may think that, hey, boy, it takes so much energy to get customers, to post loads, to negotiate. You may think that is a lot of energy. Well, the flip side, guys, takes just as much energy to do nothing. Really, that's the main point that I'm telling you here today. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to build your freight sales business. That's my first point. Second point is it takes a tremendous amount of energy to quit or do nothing. It's the same amount of energy. I mean, my goal is that you really understand that when you consider, boy, this is too challenging. Is there an easier way? Well, the easier way takes just as much energy to do it the hard way or the more challenging way. But either way, if you take my training and follow it, you will be doing it the easier way. But let me say again, don't assume that doing nothing requires no energy, work, and effort. It does. It takes just as much effort to take massive action as it does to do nothing. And here, an example of doing nothing is just sitting at your desk all day, biting your nails, fixing your watch, thinking of, what you would rather be doing because this is too challenging. So think about it. Sitting at your desk, fiddling with your watch, biting your nails, wondering how it could be easier, that is just as much energy as taking massive action. I mean, really think about it. The two amounts of energy are the same regardless, okay? I'm going to give you some signs. That you're doing nothing. Here's some signs of doing nothing. They include appearing bored, appearing bored. Think of a child that, because he's been given so much, sits at the kitchen table, with his head down, and mom asks him, son, what's going on? And he says, I'm bored. Well, if you just sit at your desk and don't produce anything, you're going to be bored as well. Here's another thing, displaying laziness. So first thing is being bored. Second thing is displaying laziness. Here's an example, to ask someone else to replace the paper in your printer. Okay, the printer's going, it runs out of paper. You're too lazy to get up and replace the paper. That is displaying laziness. If you don't have an inkling to get up and replace the paper right away, you're lazy. Plain and simple. You're displaying laziness. That's the second thing. The third thing is showing complacency. Okay, let me say it again. First type, appearing bored. Second, displaying laziness. Third, showing complacency. Complacency is, here's an example, showing up to produce at 10 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. Let me say that again. Showing complacency, an example, is showing up at 10 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. You got to remember, guys, that your results are indicative of what the amount of effort that you put into this. And hey, you do nothing, that's what you're going to get out of it. The kicker of it all is it takes just as much time to do nothing as it does to take massive action. Fourth type, guys, is severe lack of purpose or direction. So if you have a severe lack of purpose or direction, that's a sign that you're taking on this do-nothing attitude. An example is the motivation and goals on your wall. They look like a foreign language to you now. For those of you that train with me, I go over documents, a number of documents, and I tell you specifically, now, take those documents, post them on your wall so they provide you with motivation every day and you're able to set your goals according to them. Well, if you're in my training and you look on those, you look at those documents now and they look like a foreign language, that's an example of a severe lack of purpose or direction. 4 signs that you're doing nothing. Okay, I just told you, plain and simple. If any one of you are displaying those attributes, well, you are displaying a do-nothing attitude. Let me give you an example, guys. Okay, let me give you an example. When if you provided you have a do-nothing attitude, when the alarm goes off in the morning, all right. Do-nothing freight agents don't respond to it at all. Although it appears that they're not taking any action to get up, believe it or not, as I said earlier, it takes the same amount of energy to not get up in the morning as it does to stay in bed. This goes hand in hand with what I've been saying. If you stay in bed, you're exerting the same amount of energy as if you got up. I mean, regardless of what we do, we exert energy. Most of society will think, hey, I'm lying here in bed, so I'm not doing anything. Well, just by laying in bed, you're exerting the same amount of energy. Here's another example. It takes work to lose a job with a do-nothing attitude. If you lose a job, okay, you exerted energy to lose that job. Unfortunately, a lot of folks, after they lose their job, they come up with excuses. They come up with the woe is me attitude. See, all that stuff takes effort. To act like that, to lose your job, okay, and then afterward, woe is me, they're at fault, it's not me. Think about it, guys. All that takes effort to act that way. Here's another example, guys. It takes work to be overlooked for a promotion, and after that, then you have to wait for that opportunity to come up again. And if you don't get it, then you have to tell your spouse. I mean, all this stuff takes effort. Here's my main point. Why don't you just exert the energy required to be successful whether at your job or as a freight sales agent. Just exert the energy, because either way, you have to exert it anyway, okay? You're either going to exert it producing and winning financially, or you're going to produce it in a negative way and get the results that you get. And even after that, then it takes even more energy, okay, to make sense of it all. For those of you that have failed time and time again, okay, you have to make sense of it all. Boy, why do I keep failing? See, that takes effort. Now you may be thinking, why am I listening to you, Ted? Well, I'm giving you the answer, and the answer is this: exert the energy, listen to what I'm telling you, take these facts, and then apply them. That's making sense of it all in a positive way. However, most of society makes sense of it in a negative way. They say, hey, it's not my fault, it's his fault, you know, they deserve me. Boy, you're getting fired and you're thinking that they deserve you. You've gotten fired and your attitude is, you know, screw the company, you know, I can go somewhere else. Well, you can go somewhere else. Of course you can go somewhere else, but unfortunately, you're taking your negative attitude with you. You think by taking your negative attitude with you that you're going to get better results somewhere else. Guys, just exert the energy to become successful. Don't feel that, hey, the grass is greener somewhere else, or I'm going to do less effort and get better results. Think about it this way, guys, all right? If you're doing nothing in one area of your life, you'll find something that you love to do and spend time doing that thing, something for which you'll take massive action, and that something can be anything. In this case, make it the successful growth of your freight sales business, okay? Make it the successful growth of your freight sales business. I guarantee, guys, I guarantee that some area of your life receives full energy and attention right now, all right? You have to determine what it is. And if it's something other than building your freight sales business, you've got to redirect that energy to building your freight sales business, because you're in this business, you're in this profession for a reason. You came to this profession knowing that I'm going to be successful, and it takes effort to do that. The question I have for you is, okay, when will you pay that same kind of attention to your freight sales business? Because if you're not paying most of your attention to your freight sales business, your effort is being diverted elsewhere. That other thing is getting your attention. Your freight sales business is not going anywhere. And I'm just telling you this in general. You don't have to be an agent of mine to know this. You can be anybody. If something else is getting your attention, that's what's growing. And if that's growing, your freight sales business is not growing, okay? Doing nothing when it comes to money, okay? Here's another example. If you're doing nothing when it comes to money, if you make $50,000 this year and you made $50,000 last year, you're doing nothing in that area to increase it, correct? If you did 50 last year and you're doing 50 this year, guess what? You've done nothing to increase your money. And is that your goal? Is that why you're in this profession? I'll bet it is. I'll bet it's to build a business that you can do from the comfort of your home and increase your level of income financially. So think about it. If you did 50 last year and you did 50 this year, it's your own fault why you haven't increased your income. It's because you have not exerted the energy necessary, that massive energy that's required to build a successful freight sales business. In conclusion, guys, forget about doing nothing, all right? Forget all about doing nothing, and recognize what you do nothing in and take massive action to change it. Let me say that one more time. Today, guys, forget all about doing nothing, recognize what you do nothing in, and take massive action to change that. In this case, your freight sales business. Been a pleasure having you today on my Tuesday training call. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you all again next Tuesday, same time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Take care. God bless. I'll see you all again next week on my Tuesday training call. Bye-bye.